Hey girls, welcome to my podcast, Unreal Girls. I have wanted to make a podcast since, I don't know, like forever. And I don't know why I haven't started before. I think I was like afraid that if I started, I would run out of things to say, but I could literally talk for Ireland. So this podcast is literally just going to be free flowing. I'm not going to edit it. I'm not going to have a big script or anything to follow. If anything, I just want this podcast to add more value. You've probably seen my videos on Instagram and you probably think she's a bit mad. And I am a little bit mad, but there's method behind the madness. And hopefully from listening to this podcast, you can get a little bit more value. So I'm not going to do what most people do and start off talking about myself in episode one. Episode one is going to be about how to goal set. I'm going to go through a presentation that I did with my girls on last week's Zoom call. And hopefully this will help you set some new goals for the new year. Okay, so if I'm looking at the laptop here, it's literally because I'm just going through the PowerPoint presentation that I've made for my clients. So the first thing that I always do when it comes up to a new year is I make myself a vision board on New Year's Eve. So I sit down and I'm like, okay, right, what do I want to achieve next year? And I literally get myself like a white canvas and I go onto Google and I print off all the pictures that kind of like align with my goal or help me illustrate my goals. So like for example, if I'm trying to manifest a man this year, I'm printing off a picture of a fella and I'm sticking him on my vision board and I'm like, okay, yeah. And he has to kind of look like the person that I'm going to want to attract. But anyways, I obviously have to put some like slogans and stuff and like quotes and stuff on my vision board too. So I get the guy's personality and not just his six pack. But basically I make myself a vision board every single year on New Year's Eve. And I've done it religiously. And I just find if I can make that board and stick it up in front of me in my office and see that every single day, then that's going to help me understand what my purpose is. And on the days when I'm feeling a bit shit, I'm going to be looking at that and I'm going to be reminding myself what it is that I want to achieve. So I highly recommend making a vision board. Actually, one of my coaches was like, oh, I forgot to do it. And I was like, you can still do it now. It doesn't have to be done on New Year's Eve. It doesn't have to be done on the 1st of January. You could make a vision board halfway through the year and it would still apply. So today's podcast, if that sounds so weird that I'm even saying that, is all about goal setting, and I'm just going to teach you how to goal set. So the first couple of things that I'm going to go through is how to make yourself a priority, how to create your dream life, how to commit to it and actually follow through with it, because there's no point making this big huge vision board if you're not going to take any action. And then the next part of this is going to talk about how to show up for yourself, how to say no to things that don't align with your goals. And then obviously you have to do some reflection work. You should have points throughout the year where you reflect back and you ask yourself, okay, am I getting closer to my goal, or are there maybe things that are holding me back? So if I was you and if I wasn't out on my walk getting my steps in or driving my car or whatever, I'd actually sit down now and I'd get yourself a little sheet of paper and a pen and put these thoughts to paper. If not, you can just listen to me waffle. It will still apply. Just make sure you do take action. But it is best to have a notebook and a pen with this. So the first part here is making yourself a priority. Girls, I coach mostly moms and they put everybody first and then they forget about themselves. Some moms are like, oh, I don't really have a dinner, yet they have their husband's dinner made, they have their kids' dinners made. This is the year, 2026 should be the year that you actually start focusing on yourself, girls, and you make yourself a priority. There's a reason why if you get on a plane, the person says that you put the oxygen mask on yourself first and then your child. That's how you can cater to your child and look after your child. If you look after everybody else and you don't make yourself a priority, you might think that you're doing something good for everybody else, but you're actually going to be a much better version of yourself. If you can look after yourself, you're going to be able to actually help everybody else, because they'll be like, oh my God, my mom is glowing today, or my mom is in a good mood today. Whereas if you keep putting everybody else first, you're just putting yourself in this highly stressed state. And then what's going to happen is you're going to make everybody else's energy dip, because your energy is low. So make this the year that you start making time for yourself. I know maybe as a mom, you probably can't take a full day off, but you could at least start with maybe 10 minutes in the morning to yourself just to get a little bit of me time. Or you can schedule in even an hour a week where you just go and you get a little coffee and you take yourself for a little walk just to be alone with your own thoughts. It is so important, girls. So if there's one thing you do this year, it's start making yourself a priority again, okay? And no, when you start making yourself a priority, this is not being selfish, okay? Putting yourself first is not selfish. Stop saying you don't have time. If you want it, you'll make time. So I always tell my girls, we're not even editing this podcast and I'm slipping up. This is the first one, girl. So if this feels a bit choppy, don't worry. I will fix the next one, or hopefully the more of these podcasts I do, the better I'll get at this. So what I'm trying to say is stop saying you don't have time. If you want it, you will make time. So something like journaling first thing in the morning. When you journal, when you put your thoughts to paper, you identify what you're grateful for. You remind yourself what your goals are. And then you set yourself these mini tasks that you're going to do that day that gets you closer to your goal. If you don't have time to put 10 minutes to give 10 minutes to yourself in the morning to put some thoughts to paper, then that's because you just don't see that as a priority. I bet you have time to make a coffee. I bet you have time to flick through Instagram or TikTok or read your emails. If you've time to do that, you've time to do this. Your family are important, but so are you. And it's great to have a good work ethic, girls, but your health is your wealth. So if you're burning yourself out in work, that's not good either, because you're going to run yourself into the ground and you'll reach burnout. And I've often had girls join my team and I have to tell them to tell their boss that they need to delegate their work, because the thing is, your boss might say, oh my God, she's accepting all these tasks and she's doing unreal. And the more that you keep saying yes, the more your boss thinks that you're grand and you can handle all that. And without you actually opening up and saying, do you know what, I'm actually struggling a bit here, or can we maybe delegate some of these tasks, your boss might not even know that you're struggling and you're on the verge of burnout. So don't be afraid to speak up, and take time at the end of every single week, okay, to identify when you have the time for you. So see that like an hour in the park or 10 minutes in the morning, that should be seen as like a schedule. Like you should schedule that in. It should be seen as part of your schedule, okay? And it is okay to do things for you. Again, I'm literally going to keep saying that. It is not selfish to do things for yourself, girls. Okay, the second thing is creating your dream life, right? Have you ever actually asked yourself what it is that you want to achieve? Have you ever actually sat down and said to yourself, okay, what does my dream life look like? What does my dream day look like? I know myself, I'm just back from 3 weeks in Thailand. I absolutely love Thailand. My dream day would be waking up in the morning, going for a run, coming back, having my breakfast. If I could bring my chocolate brownie oats to Thailand and eat them every single day there, I would. But I usually get this gorgeous granola smoothie bowl. But anyways, my dream life would be that. And then after I have my smoothie bowl, I would go and I do a little class so I can meet all the people in the class. I do the classes for fun, not even to burn calories. I just find it unreal. And then I'd come back, I'd tan for an hour, and then I'd go into work mode for a couple of hours on the laptop before having my dinner and going to bed, maybe getting a little Thai massage. That would be my dream life. Is that practical? Probably not, because after doing that for a while, I feel like if I'm in Thailand, I start to go into go slow mode and I can't have the business that I have. So like I can take parts from that dream life and put them into action here in Ireland. And that's what I'm starting to do. So like what I would advise you to kind of like identify your dream life or your dream day is I would get a blank sheet of paper, and on the left hand side I would start listing all the tiny things that make you happy. It could be your morning walk, your morning coffee, it could be giving your dog a little cuddle in the morning. I just got a new puppy, I'll show you at some stage of this, but it could be that, okay? And on the right hand side, write out all the little things that stress you out or things that make your day go, ugh, make you feel a bit meh. Write them out. And then what I want you to do is read through them and start doing more of what's on the left and less of what's on the right. And just by doing that, you can actually just identify all the tiny things that you can start adding into your life that makes you happy. And I appreciate that you can't take away all the stressful things. But say, for example, if you have a long commute to work and you're dreading that every single day, you can make that a little bit better by getting yourself an Unreal coffee and maybe listening to a positive podcast or getting an Audible book or doing something that requires you to actually like enjoy the journey a little bit more. Like if you're getting the bus into college every day, girls, and it takes an hour. It used to take me forever to get into college. It takes an hour. Why don't you use that time to do something productive rather than scrolling through TikTok? But anyways, you can create your dream life. You are the creator of your life, and like you only get one go at it, so you might as well not be miserable. If 2025 wasn't your year, start making 2026 a little bit better. So I think again, a big thing with setting goals is it's so important to actually identify what your goal is and like what do you actually want to achieve and why do you want to achieve that. So what I would suggest you doing is getting again a blank sheet of paper. Sorry girls, if you're on the road now and you're in the car and you're listening to this, or again if you're out getting steps in, you're just gonna have to listen to this and do this in your head. But basically you have to ask yourself, what do you want to achieve, right? And these goals should be broken down into different pillars. Okay, so your relationship goals, your financial goals, career goals, and health and fitness goals. Obviously sometimes to pick something up we have to put something down, so you're not always going to have them pillars balanced all the time, but you can start identifying where you need to work on. So for example, myself, I would have put a lot of effort into my business over the last couple of years, which meant that my relationships would have dropped down a bit. And now I crave a little bit more love, hence why I got a little puppy. But my goal this year is to build better relationships with my friends, my family, give more time to them, and maybe even meet a fella at some stage, hopefully. So that's my goals this year. But I have to take action on that. But I mean, like, by identifying my goals and putting them down onto paper, they're more likely to come true and it gives me a bit of direction to work towards. I would make sure that these goals are specific. So remember when you were in school, they would have talked about having like SMART goal setting. You need to make sure you do that. But it's also important to dream big. I always say that if your goals don't scale, you, they're not big enough. And coming into the start of this year, I decided to do a 50k run. So I've signed up for a 50k on Valentine's Day, be me doing laps with myself around the park. As I always say, you have to date yourself. But basically, I signed up to that. That scares the shit out of me. Like doing 50k. I wouldn't mind if it was 50k, like going around something that I can like sightsee and stuff. But it's 50k around a forest, just doing laps and laps and laps. I'm doing 10 laps of a forest. But anyways, that is like a goal for me to work towards. That's what's motivating me to get up and get out running while it's freezing cold out. Otherwise, I'd be dilly-dallying on my runs. Like, I've been so on it with the runs because every time I've accomplished one goal with running, I've set myself another one, so I have a mini target to work towards. Otherwise, I'd be just running for the crack every day and I wouldn't be improving because I'd be just going out doing all easy runs. So that's what I mean, like dream big, girls, but take action. And I always think it's important to have goals, not just in your health and fitness, but different goals, so that, for example, if I have career goals, I actually find they help me stick to my health and fitness a lot more because I have a purpose. I'm getting up and I'm so driven with that. So for example, like for me to be doing check-ins every morning on a Monday, I'm not going to be going out every weekend because if I write myself off, I won't have the motivation to do the check-ins. Do you know what I mean? So like having these goals in other areas and not just your health and fitness actually helps you stay on track with your health and fitness. So like I've had girls on my team dream really big. I had one girl do a skydive, jump from a plane, and her goal was to lose weight so that she could get up into the plane and do that. I have girls that their goal is just to look and feel unreal in a bikini, learning how to swim, doing a high rocks, half marathon, 10k, joining a gym. Whatever it is, set those goals, okay? Because if you can set those goals at the start of the year, it gives you something to get excited about in the morning. It gives you something to wake up and feel buzzing about. All right? The second thing is when you set these goals, it's important to know that these goals are for you and you need to have a why. So ask yourself, why do I want to achieve this? You shouldn't be doing it for anybody else. You should be doing it for yourself. And you should keep asking yourself, right, why? Write your goal at the top of the sheet of paper and keep digging deeper, girls, and keep saying, okay, but why? So say, for example, someone comes to me and they're a busy mom and they're like, okay, right, I want to lose weight. I'd be like, why do you want to lose weight? And then they're like, because I just want to feel better. Why do you want to feel better? Do you not feel confident now? Do you not like yourself in the mirror? How is your energy? How is your sleep? Do you want to feel better towards your kids? Do you want to put on a pair of jeans when you're going out and just feel comfortable? Keep digging. It's also important to ask yourself, okay, why haven't I achieved this before? Like, what is holding me back? And literally be like, is there things that I can start improving on now? That means that like those barriers to me achieving my goals start getting broken down. So I'd reflect back, I'd try and look at like what the roadblocks are and ask yourself why you haven't achieved this before. Like if you're coming to me for support, it's probably because maybe you have a lack of self-belief, maybe there's limiting beliefs there, maybe you keep saying, oh, I can never lose weight. Well, if you have that mentality, you're never going to lose weight. If you keep looking at yourself in the mirror and you keep putting yourself down, you're going to feel like shite. I went through a period last year when I was getting a lot of hate online, and I was getting a lot of hate about my appearance, and honestly, I kid you not, that made me look in the mirror and I was like, I just hate my face. And my dad was like, why'd you hate your face? And I was like, I don't know, I just hate it. And I actually went to therapy over it, and to be honest, I actually couldn't understand. I couldn't pinpoint one thing that I hated about my face, but in my head I was just like, I just hate that. But it was because I was focusing on it so much. So what you focus on grows. So like if your mentality is, oh, I'm fat, you're just going to keep seeing yourself as fat. Whereas if you wake up in the morning and you're like, I look good today, or you focus on like those nice parts about yourself, you are going to have a positive mindset and you're going to get closer to that. So like fat loss, if you wake up and you're like, I'm 10 kg down, like just believe that you're that already. Or like, I'm fit, I'm healthy. Some girls will say, I'm not a runner. If you keep telling yourself you're not a runner, you're never going to be a runner. If you wake up and you're like, I'm a runner, even if you can't even run a kilometre, tell yourself you're a runner. And just by having that mentality, you'll run that kilometre, then you'll run 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Another thing that I would do when you start writing down your goals is make a list of pros and cons. So like, say for example, if you have a goal to lose 10 kg, let's say you're 80 kg and you want to lose 10, write a list of all the pros of achieving that goal and write a list of all the cons. If you can dig deeper and kind of identify those pain points, it means that on those days when your motivation is on the floor, you'll have so much willpower to keep going because your why will be so strong. So that's your why, girl. And that is your goals. There is absolutely 0 point setting goals if you're not going to commit to them and follow through. So it's so important that like if you have this big gigantic goal that you want to achieve, you need to break it down into steps and you need to set yourself targets. So like for example, if I had a client that joined my team and let's say she's 80 and she wants to get down to 70, we'd focus on 1 kg at a time, and I would focus on, okay, right, we're going to get to this part here. And let's say that she's like, I'd say, right, let's say we're going to lose 2 kg this month. So it's January, you're 80 kg, we're going to get down to 78 by the end of the month. I'd set her a target and a little countdown on my app so she's getting excited and she's seeing that. But another thing that I would make sure I was doing is not just solely focusing on the scales. I'd give her little things that get her closer to that goal. So getting her to hit her healthy habits. Maybe she's doing 6k steps and she needs to increase it to 7k. Maybe she doesn't drink enough water and she needs to drink 2.5 litres of water a day. If you have all those mini goals that help you achieve your bigger goal, that means that by ticking them off, you're showing up for yourself, you're getting a bit of momentum, and it means that you feel like you're working towards something. Another thing I'd say, girls, is it's not all about the scales. So if the scales is triggering you, get an old pair of jeans that don't fit and take a picture in them, and then use them as motivation to keep getting leaner and leaner and leaner and working towards our goals. It doesn't have to be about the scales. But the one thing that I would say is the reason why people give manifestation a hard time is because some people talk about manifestation and they're like, oh, I'm going to manifest my dream life. And they put it all on a board and they don't take action. If you do that, nothing's going to happen. Nobody is coming to save you. You have to fix the problems. So what I'd recommend you doing as well is like giving yourself a little roadmap. So like identifying what this new you do, okay? What this new you do, what this new you does. What does she train like? What's her nutrition like? What's her social life like? Does she have a work-life balance? Like, make sure that you understand what she's doing on a day-to-day basis. Because I always say that we are made up of our habits. And if your habits don't align with what it is that you want to achieve and don't align with your goal, don't expect to get there. Okay? Start showing up for yourself. If you make these tiny promises, like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym on Monday, and then you don't go to the gym on Monday, that's just telling yourself that you don't do the things that you set out to do. The more that you show up for yourself, the more that you get confidence in the thing, okay? Confidence doesn't just come. You can't just hit a magic wand and be like, boom, there you go, get confidence, Lauren. Confidence comes from doing the thing. So if you get confidence about losing weight or running or whatever it is, the only way you build that confidence up is by setting yourself those mini goals, whether it's to do a 5K and then you do the 5K. You only get that confidence because you told yourself you were going to do a 5K, you committed to the training and then you succeeded. Then you get the confidence. You're like, okay, I feel like I can run now. Maybe I'll build it at 10K. But if you just say, I'm going to do it and you never do it, motivation gets dipped, okay? My famous sayings with my girls is always to take an 80-20 approach, which means like 80% of the time you're on it, you're smashing your goals, etc., etc. And 20% is a little bit of wiggle room because there will be wobbles. We're not perfect. I was getting my hair done actually yesterday. That's why my hair is lovely. Shout out to Hair Boom. But basically I was getting my hair done yesterday. I was talking to one of the girls and she went to Tenerife for her holidays and she was saying, oh, I've been so on it with the nutrition since I came home, but I had a takeaway yesterday. And she was like, but you know what? I don't have that all or nothing approach because it's only one takeaway. And I've been on it the rest of the week. And this morning I went and I had my granola and all as normal. That's what it's all about, okay? You only fail if you stop. There's nothing wrong with having a takeaway the odd time. You have the power, girls, to achieve anything with the right mindset. And my method is always win the next meal. If you fall off the wagon, win the next meal. So you'll have your good days, you'll have your bad days, you'll have your overwhelming days, your too tired days, your I feel unreal days, I can't go on days. But every single day you have to keep showing up, okay? I also advise you getting into the habit of saying no. Say no to things that don't align with your goals. If you're always that yes person, you are not going to keep achieving your goals, okay? You can't say yes to everything. As I keep saying, you pick something up. To pick something up, you have to put something down. And make sure that you evaluate your progress along the way. This is why having a coach can sometimes come in handy. But if you don't have a coach, get yourself an accountability buddy or something. Like, get your friend to hold you accountable. It's so important. It's like you need to understand and you need to start identifying your progress as you go along and celebrating the little wins and identifying what you're doing wrong as well. So nothing is set in stone, girls, as well. Like, if you set yourself goals at the start of the year and you feel like, okay, the plan isn't working. If the plan doesn't work, change the plan, but don't change your goal. The plan isn't working because maybe it's like unrealistic. Change it. Change it and change it and change it and change it until it fits into you and your lifestyle, okay? Don't be afraid to keep changing things until you find out what works for you, okay? But again, make sure that you're actually pushing yourself and you're trying. Like, don't just try something for a week and be like, oh, this doesn't work. Give it time. Okay, so I really hope that this helped you, girls. I know that this is literally my first podcast and it's just a quick episode. I don't know how long you want these episodes to be. If anybody listens to this, give me a little message on Instagram and be like, oh, Lauren, I liked your podcast, or oh, that was shy, never do one again. And I don't know if you girls are going to be watching the video or not watching the video or whatever, but I can do these whatever way you like. This is my current setup. I don't want to edit this. I literally just want it to be raw and authentic, and I want it to be time that I can just talk to you girls and build a community here on my podcast and literally just kind of talk in more depth. As the year goes on, I will have guest speakers. Hopefully I can get some clients and stuff that's going to come on too. I'll talk about different topics. I might address online hate. I'll teach you girls how to improve your social media. I'll teach you about running, teach you about mindset, teach you about binging, nutrition. The next episode that I want to do is like giving you a little bit of background about myself and my own personal struggles with food and how I overcame it. But I just talk because it's January. We better start off with setting some new goals first. And I did this presentation for my girls and they really enjoyed it. So I thought I'll turn it into a podcast and hopefully you girls can get some motivation from it. So I hope you all have a great start to the new year. Remember, we're in January. You're probably feeling a bit shit coming back from Christmas, but I guarantee you most of the weight that you've maybe put on is water weight and it's going to be gone down once you get back to your normal routine and your normal habits. We are made up of what we do on a consistent basis or a daily basis. So consistency is key. Set yourself some goals, stay consistent, and I promise you girls, you will feel unreal. All right, I hope you have a great day and thanks so much for listening.